Hello, everyone. My name is Stefania Oikonomou, and together with my dear colleagues, Chara, Megagianni, Katerina Zuru, we are very happy to welcome you in our online lecture on citizen science in biotechnological innovations. Our lecture is part of the Agrima Project online lecture series that is taking place this month and the upcoming months. So we're really looking forward to have you along our side throughout this great learning experience. For starting the lecture, I would also like to say a few words about our team. So we are an R&D company based in Greece, innovating for over 10 years now in the field of citizen science. We design and implement our project in a transdisciplinary fields from humanities to social sciences and applied sciences, having successfully implemented over 50 EU-funded projects, currently working on 16 of them, and having established long collaborations with higher education institutions in Greece and Europe. Regarding citizen science, I'm very happy to give you a brief overview of our latest European citizen science projects. You see on the screen the European Citizen Science Project, a Horizon project that aims to strengthen citizen science in Europe. The Agrima project, an Erasmus Plus project, we are very happy to have co-initiated together with partners that focuses on waste management for sustainable bioeconomy. Another very beloved project, the Acting for Water, that focuses on water scarcity this time and how business, academia, and society can innovate to tackle this very important environmental issue. Another project of which we are very proud, another initiative, is our Limnos, through which we map air quality in this remote Greek island in collaboration with school students and teachers. Of course, you can see here on the screen the QR codes where you can find out more about our European citizen science projects. But today's lecture is part of, as I said, the Agrima project, an Erasmus Plus project that operates in the intersection of agri-food waste management, sustainable bioeconomy, and higher education. In fact, what we aim to do in Agrima is to bring together business and academic communities to advance pedagogical methods for innovative agri-food waste valorization. But how we do so? Well, we aim to integrate citizen science as a way to advance and to enhance civic engagement and environmental advocacy. You're assisting now at the Agrima Online lecture series, which aim to prepare higher education students to be engaged later on in citizen science projects in the field of agri-food waste. As you see here, the partnership of the project, which is coordinated also by Porto Polytechnic. Let's focus now on this lecture that aims to advance your knowledge on citizen science and how it is applied in targeted food waste projects that emphasize on biotechnology and specifically that use biotechnological innovation in the field of agri-food waste. As you will see, we will start with an introduction to citizen science. We will give you an overview of this term, what it means, what are its goals, and then we will move on with another concept you see here, biotechnology and agri-food waste valorization, to give you concrete examples of how citizen science is applied in these fields. Of course, we also foresee a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, and we really want to hear from your side how we can make agri-food waste projects more participatory and open to society. So feel free to react, to add your comments on the chat, but also to take part in the discussion that we follow at the end of this presentation. But at this moment, I would like to know you a little bit better. So this is why I will launch now a poll, which I will kindly ask you to reply to. So The first one, the first question that you should be able to see on your screen is, are you socially active? This means, have you ever participated in any groups, volunteer activities, humanitarian activities, anything that has to do with a social group that has a social scope to deliver? I will give you a minute to reply, and I'm sure that by the next slides, you will understand why we have such a question for you. Okay, a little more time. I see more replies coming. Okay, so I will now close the poll and share with you the results. It's interesting to see that 13 people reply that they are actually socially active, and while 8 of them reply that they are not. So we see a slight advantage of people who are already doing social activities, social actions perhaps, in their everyday life. But I think that perhaps through our presentation, you will understand that, oh, I've been involved in a more social-oriented project, but I never thought of considering it something that is like socially active as itself. Great. And another one poll, the second one. Launch it, polls. Sharing, and then launch the second poll, which is mostly related also with the first question. So for those of you who had some first experience with social action activities that have a very social meaning, did this experience allow you to rethink your role as a scientist or as a future scientist? The answers coming. Let's wait a little bit more. Okay, I don't see other answers coming, so I will proceed with closing the poll and sharing the results. And it's also another interesting result of this poll, because now that you will see share results, well, there's a majority that says yes, the experience of doing something that has a social meaning, an action, an activity with other people had made them rethink of their role as scientists. But also there's a percentage, an important one, that says, I'm not quite sure. Perhaps when we do things in our life that are more that have a social impact, we don't actually reflect on our role as a future professionals in our field. So that's very interesting, and I hope that through this presentation you will start thinking of how you can make your professional experiences and background and studies more open and socially oriented. But let's move on with some definition of concepts, and we begin with citizen science. And I think that even from the term itself, we may understand what citizen science is. Well, citizen science is actually when people of any socio-educational or socio-cultural background come together. Usually, they collaborate with researchers or scientists to help understand, map, advocate, or even provide a solution to a social or environmental problem. Now, how can actually citizens be part of the scientific process? Usually, citizens are involved in observations, for example, observing nature, observing phenomena, or data collection, when they are asked by researchers to collect data based on specific, of course, protocols and processes that researchers help citizens to apply, or even data analysis. So after collecting the data, citizens are also involved in the analysis and the results of this scientific process. What I would like you to know and to focus on is that citizen science in the last decades has been truly part of an institutions at a European level. Citizen science is now part of European policies in efforts made to enhance citizen engagements in science. And I would particularly recommend you to check the 10 principles of citizen science issued by the European Citizen Science Association in 2015. This will give you an even concrete understanding of what we name, what we define as a citizen science project. And as you see in the image here on the slide, you see that citizen science can be applied in various scientific fields. So it's not only for environmental sciences, but it can also be applied and can be helpful in social sciences, in culture, in farming, in geography, in various fields where people can contribute with their knowledge, expertise, but also willingness to be part of scientific processes. But let's move from theory to action, how we actually use citizen science in everyday settings and projects. And here, the first example I would like to give you is the one taking place every September. I'm referring to the World Water Quality Day. So at that date in September, people from all around the world are equipped with specific tools, and they go to their nearest water resource, whether it's a lake, it's a river, it's a stream, or the sea. They take samples, they analyze the quality of water, and they upload the results in this online web platform. And you can see here how impressive is the massive participation of people in this initiative, of quite 2 million people participating, gathering data which are open access, accessible to this repository of a World Water Monitoring Day. And this is a very typical traditional citizen science action, focusing on the power of the many, the power of the individuals, of the public, to help scientists gather data, real-time data about the quality of water resources around the world. And from this very international initiative, let's move on to a more local one, of which we are very extremely proud at Web2Learn. This is a citizen science project initiative we were engaged in, and we designed and implemented in Limnos, Pirina, in August 2024. What we did here is that we actually collaborated and engaged citizens in Limnos, from youngsters to elder ones, and we adopted a beach in this island, and we collected waste from this beach, which has been recorded and analyzed in the Adopt a Beach web platform. Now, Adopt a Beach is an initiative that is organized in Greece by WWF, and we are very happy to have introduced and placed Limnos in the map of Adopt a Beach in Greece. As you can see, there is the beach we adopted there in this national map, and the date of the collection that took place. And of course, let's see also what were the results of this waste gathering, litter gathering. As you can see indicatively in this pie chart, we collected over 482 waste litters, and the majority of them, 76%, were plastic-related litters. So this really means something for the quality of environmental status of our beaches in Greece. And only consider that it was a collection of waste that took place in a very limited size in the beach. So it was not a very long, very many kilometers that were from which we collected data, we collected litter, but only a very small part of it. As you can see, WWF has this national-wide campaign with over 200 beaches in Greece and communities behind these beaches collecting data throughout the year and contributing to knowledge about the status of our beaches. And this also affects the status of our seas and of the living beings that are depending on the status of these environments. And at this stage, having given you a brief overview of citizen science, I'm very happy to introduce you to my dear colleague, Chara, who is going to present the next slides. And while Chara is launching her screen, I would like to say a few words about her. So Chara is a communication specialist and an agronomist, passionate about sustainability, climate change, and inclusive science communication. Chara holds a bachelor's degree in agriculture and agrotechnology from the University of Thessaly and has participated in multiple international training programs. We're very happy to have Chara in our Web to Learn team, specializing in this agri-food field. Chara, the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Stefania, for the introduction, and the presentation was great. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Chara, as you probably know, and I'm super excited to take you on a journey exploring biotechnology as a term and how biotechnology and citizen science have an intersection in food waste valorization and in general food science sector. So, what is biotechnology? Let's start with this fundamental question. We hear this term often through the media, but I'm not sure if we exactly know what is it about. Biotechnology is the use of biological systems, organisms, or their components to develop technologies and products that address real-world problems and improve quality of life. This field, as we can understand, bridges traditional techniques such as DNA modifications and also cutting-edge innovations like gene engineering in order to have medical, agricultural, and environmental purposes. But how is related to food waste valorization? Moving forward to another crucial term, food waste valorization is the conversion of food waste or bioproduct into higher value products that contribute back to the supply chains. As we can understand, this contributes to the circular economy approach where useful material, once seen as a waste, is recycled back into the supply chain to create new products. But why is this process, food waste valorization, so significant? Well, food waste is a global issue, and we can understand that it contributes 8 up to 10% of global greenhouse gases, mainly via landfill methane. Apart from that, FAO announced every year that the majority of the food that is purchased is going to waste immediately without even consuming. So we can understand that over 30% of the food that we buy from the supermarket or any other stores end up in the trash bin without even consuming. So valorization not only reduces disposal costs, but also generates new revenue streams. And as a result, we reuse the extra food or we distribute it into through food banks and social entrepreneurs improves food access. How now we combine citizen science and food waste valorization? The main goal is to combine these powerful tools that have the potential to drive innovation in various sectors. While citizen science allow us to engage communities in scientific research, biotechnology provides us the technological foundation for addressing complex issues. As a result of that, we can understand that the field that these two terms are combined is food waste valorization. Now, let's see how citizen science is applied in biotechnological innovation for food waste valorization. We have gathered some very interesting European projects, research projects, and initiatives that we believe that are really interesting to see how they implement citizen science, combining biotechnology and food waste. At first, we have Action Science Bridge, where the student use skills to develop biotech labs and create science kit. These kits are used by students to teach biotechnology and science lesson to younger students. So we can understand that the students are active participants that gain knowledge and they turn it back to the community, the younger students. These skills are actively in practice and they are part of microsampling, precision, and documentation. So we can understand that science is close to younger students and generations. Of course, every project that we mentioned has a website that you can see at the bottom of your screen, and you can visit the website in order to have more details about it. Also, we have the citizen science in plant breeding and food transparency, a different project, more science-oriented, that aims to improve citizens' knowledge about traditional and new methods of plant breeding. Also, the project aimed to map citizens' need for a transparent food system that includes the application of new technologies, including gene editing. It's a technology, as we said before, really specific and precise. Plant breeding, even for an agronomist, is a very difficult field to approach, but it's really interesting how this project bring this term, which is, as I mentioned before, really specific, closer to the university and to citizens. In total, more than 60 citizen scientists participate in the survey through questionnaires, focus groups, and data collection. Also, we have the Living Technosols project, a very interesting project as well from the well-known Wageningen University in the Netherlands. There, the researchers are calling the citizens to record the quality of the soil in their area. As you can see from the two images, the first in the side of your screen, we have the three types of the earthworms. The action will help researchers to better understand how earthworms live in difficult soils. And by the term difficult soil, we mean a soil poor from elements and organic matter, as those that we have in city centers. In the bottom of the screen, the second image, you can see the pH meters and colors according to the pH. And according to that, we can indicate if our soil is neutral, alkaline, or has a high percentage of acidity. The next lecture of Web to Learn will be on 19th of May, featuring the researcher behind this project as the speaker. So it will be really interesting if you could join as well this online lecture. Moving forward, we have the Phi Science project, the development of biosensor technology in combination with citizen science as well, that helps to advance scientific research on environmental and medical issues. In this project, we can see how they develop a biosensor using a single-celled organism, the slime mold, called Fusarium polycephalum. The low-cost biosensor is accessible to researchers, students, citizens for research activities. And as we can all understand, accessibility in European projects and initiatives is really important because it broadens the knowledge to every part of the community. Also, we have the Waste for Think project, a project that promotes the concept of the circular economy in waste management through citizen science actions. Here, the citizens are trained to record the waste through generated apps and co-design new solutions for a more sustainable waste management. The AgriMax project aim to develop the production of high-value products from crop and food processing in order to reduce food waste. Citizens test new organic products to validate whether their cost is commensurate with their effectiveness and performance. We all know that food sector and in general agronomy has a huge amount of waste that every year are not easy to handle. So that kind of projects that are trying to turn this waste into something valuable are really important. Also, we have the Increase project, where the citizens plant seeds and record the process of flowering, fruiting, and maintenance. Personally, as an agronomist, it's one of my favorite projects. I cannot admit that. That is really challenging for people that have no idea what it is to look like a fruit or a vegetable to start their own cultivation project from the seed. The aim of the project is to learn more about the cultivation and care of seeds and develop participation and solidarity among citizens through seed exchange. We can understand that it's very important to know how to cultivate our fruits and vegetables and have our own little garden. For some people that will live in the cities seems a little bit far, but we know that they're trying to create a seed bank in the Norway and collect all the seeds in extreme condition that no one hopes it will happen. We have to be ready as humanity to cultivate our own food and survive. So it's essential for young age from the students, schools and universities, and even older people to know how they're going to survive and feed themselves and their families through a very simple project that also, I have to admit, that create relations between the community, since the citizens are creating bonds. Another project, Waste It Up, promotes circular economy in cities by converting urban bio-waste into food ingredients and improves waste management in cities and reduces carbon dioxide emissions, which is true that cause a lot of the problems that we face as humanity in the environmental sector. Another one, Value Waste, the project that transforms municipal bio-waste into high-value products like compost, biogas, and bio-based materials, reducing reliance on landfilling and incineration. It promotes a circular economy by repurposing organic waste and involving citizens in testing new sustainable products to assess their effectiveness and affordability. The project delivers environmental benefits such as lower emissions. We mentioned before carbon dioxide and other gases. We should not forget to mention methane as well, and improve soil health and fertility, while also creating new economic opportunities. Excalibur project focuses on transforming food waste and seaweed sludge into valuable bio-based products, supporting the shift toward a circular economy. I have a very interesting picture that I took from the website of Excalibur. As you can see, there are 3 pilot territories in Spain, Italy, and Greece as well. And it's really interesting that their effort were to turn urban bio-waste, such as seaweed sludge, into high-value products, including proteins, biopesticides, and polyesters. Also, in this project, they took into account the life cycle and safety assessment in order to create products that are worth making, because otherwise we're talking again for a waste of energy and money and effort from the side of scientists. They also try to communicate, disseminate, and raise the awareness among the community. And they took also into account the environmental, the techno-economic, and the social impact. And sorry, this is the last project, the food dress. The main scope of this project is to prevent food waste along the food supply chain using circular economic strategies. Now, the citizen science integration is multiple. As you can see, at first we have the participatory monitoring, where the citizens were engaged in monitoring food waste through diaries, questionnaires, and compositional analysis. Then we have the educational workshops that were conducted in schools and communities to raise awareness. And lastly, they established living labs to foster socially responsible citizens' actions. Again, you can find more information at visiting the website at the bottom of the screen. Now, the key takeaways. It's really important to know that every presentation has a meaning, and it's worth it, apart from the terms that we mentioned before, the very interesting projects, to know the connection, the common lineage that unites these terms that at first sight we cannot understand how are connected. So, citizen science engaged the public in scientific research, data collection, and innovation. Biotechnology, on the other hand, applies biological systems for solution in food waste valorization and sustainability. And food waste valorization converts waste into valuable products, supporting the circular economy. In all that, citizens play an essential role in gathering data, managing waste, and developing innovative solutions. Without citizens, all these would just ideas in a paper or maybe in a fancy website somewhere. The projects highlight how citizen science can drive success in biotechnology and waste management. And in my personal opinion, citizen science, as my colleague Stefania mentioned before, is involved in every sector of our life. It's not just about biotechnology and waste management, but these are the terms that we are analyzing today here. So, as an input, we bringing together all the stakeholders, scientists, citizens, schools, and organizations to enhance the reach and effectiveness of citizen science initiatives. So that's everything from my side.
Thank you
And
so much, Chara.
I'm going to stop sharing. Great.
Thank you, Chara, for this very insightful presentation. And I think you gave us a very concrete overview of various citizen science projects where we saw various roles of citizens. And that's really important because now that we enter in the Q&A session, and I encourage all of you to either type on the chat or raise your hand, and so we can have also discussion through opening your microphone. About the role of citizens in our field, whether it's more focused on food waste management or agri-food and agriculture. Before moving into the questions, there is a question on the chat about Scalibur, if it is applied in the agri-food sector. Chara, if you could reply to that question, and then I will proceed with the questions here. I also give a minute to our participants to check a bit what questions we want to bring today.
Well, thanks first for the question. Scalibur was a very interesting project. It was not focused on agriculture specifically. None of the projects that we mentioned before were focused only in one sector. We chose initiatives that have multiple objects. Scalibur had a period of time that was applied in the 3 territories that we mentioned before, and I think it's has complete in his circle. The most important that we have to keep in our mind is that every European project, every initiative has a specific amount of time in order to be completed. So the important thing is that the project lasts for maybe 3, 4, 5 years. After that, the scope is to educate the citizens and the community in general to keep applying everything, every action through the project and make them part of their everyday life. So I think we mentioned before about a research project that consumer were analyzing what they did, what they're consuming with diaries. But I'm talking about another project. The main scope is this to be part of them and think consciously. Yeah, this is the Scalibur. The picture is from 2018, so I'm pretty sure that the project is already finished.
Thank you,
But it
Chara.
was
Yes.
successful, yeah.
And Scalibur was focusing on also on food waste food waste.
Yes,
So
not
food as a
exactly.
result of after consumption on waste.
Mhm.
This is also another dimension, as you said, this transdisciplinarity and the various sections of the agri-food waste management
Mhm.
circle. Because there are different tabs, different steps into agri-food waste management. So this project, for example, focused on food waste. So after the
Mhm.
consumption of the food. Thank you for your question and answering, Chara, also. So let's move on with the first question, and it's about citizens' involvement. I'm sure that most of you are working on the natural sciences or agri-food science field. So how about the role of citizens in a project that has a very scientific output? Have you ever thought of involving citizens in any initiative, or have you ever any experience on that? Can citizens be involved only on collect data, or we should envisage a greater role for citizens? I would like to give you some minutes to think of it. And I encourage any of you to open its microphone and share your experience or view on the role of citizens in such projects. So
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, Hassan, please,
Yeah, I
yes.
have two questions. I have no experience in this field, and thank you very much, both, for the nice presentation. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Um, the first question, general, is concerning Agrima as one of the work package concern directly citizens. And I see that you have many projects, all focusing on waste foods. Um, so, is there connection between the projects? Yeah, I mean, can we use expertise, data, methodologies, information outcomes from all of these projects for Agrima? Or is there confidentiality issues?
Hassan, would you mind? Let's take this first question, and if you have a second one, so let's
Yeah,
address this first. Okay. Chara, if I may, because this refers particularly to the Agrima project that we were very happy to co-write with Katerina. And so just to briefly answer to El Hassan. So, of course, all the projects you saw here at Hassan have some results, some deliverables, which, of course, most of them are open access available. And of course, as we believe very much in open science, and we are always welcome to learn from other experts that have already been doing citizen engagement or citizen science initiatives in their field. So the general answer would be yes, of course, we always learn
yeah,
from each
that's
other, but also
great.
the aim of the lecture series is also to bring experts from other projects. But just to mention that Agrima has its own methodology, as you very much know. So we built this Agrima methodology at the beginning of the project, and we will be based also on our Agrima methodology in moving on with the citizen science project later on in the coming months. So now we're building
Yeah,
this
it's
students.
great, really nice, interesting, and I think it will be useful for Agrima. And the second question is concerning directly Agrima, since we will have to collect, we started thinking about this, to collect citizens' projects for waste valorization. My question is how practically we will use these projects. How we'll do for the valorization of citizen projects in practice. What is the method to use them, so after collection?
So you mean, El Hassan, though after the citizen science project, the results, the outputs of these projects, of these initiatives, how will be used, correct? Did I understand
Yeah,
correct?
the first thing is to identify at least 5 projects for each partner. And then what we will do with this project? This is my question.
Thank you, Hassan. And also for the people who are not very much familiar with the Agrima project, now in the coming months, we have a series of citizen science initiatives that will be carried out by university students together also with other citizen groups and business partners, and they will test citizen science in practice in their fields. And the idea behind all this project is that not only to enhance their skills on applying citizen science after the end of the project as a part of their scientific research, which is also a very interesting learning and skills outcome of this process, but also to perhaps, how to say, promote the citizen science approach and research processes within the partner universities. So the results of this project are multiple. There are tangible ones. This will be the data that the citizen science project will collect, but also intangible in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge building, and in terms of experience built through the project. And I'm sure, Hassan, that as we move forward with the project in the coming months, we will also provide more details about the structure of the project and their learning outcomes. So we'll get back, of course, as we move on with the Agrima project in the next months.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's quite more clear for me. And the last question, just for this, more technical. It concerns the quality of the projects dealing with the quality of water. You said that citizens have to make some analysis of water. Can you tell us about this analysis? What, how and what?
Sure, Hassan. I think again you refer, and sorry for monopolizing Chara, but this refers to the first part of the presentation with the World Water Monitoring Day, this initiative where citizens gather these water samples. So El Hassan, for this initiative, the people who are connected in the website of this initiative get specific instructions from the organizer. There is a PDF with instruction. They get this equipment to go outside and gather this water sample from the lake. So people know exactly how to use the tools they get from the organizers, and they have instruction and guidelines on how then to proceed with data analysis and projection of the data in the web platform. This is what I could share with you. So this is the way they can actually achieve to do this data analysis and data sharing with the world.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations for the quality of the speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan, for questions and for attending. As we are, I really encourage everyone, we have also some more minutes for the QA session, and you can also type any question or any comment on the chat or even raise your hand and speak up. I would also like to make a question to Chara as an agronomist and about these difficulties in applying citizen science to highly technical fields like biotechnology. It's something we hear a lot when we are going to propose citizen science to biotechnologists or people very much involved in very advanced scientific fields. They usually the first reaction is, oh, how we engage people is very technical. So can you share the experience or any tip, or it's really too difficult, or it's something that just needs to be overcome through specific methodologies and willingness to engage the public after all?
Well, it is something difficult because we're talking for a very specific object. Science is always difficult if you don't know how to approach it. So I truly believe in collaboration. So if you have an expert in this field, biotechnology, for example, is much more easier. So when it comes to difficulties, I will first think about that, how do we approach it? And secondly, when we're talking about a really technical field, we should also think that the results will be more technical. So we need labs to do the analysis. We need specific equipment, which is maybe expensive. So we definitely need a sort of funding or a university even to support our effort. We do need specific people, scientists, and specialists. And also, I believe we need someone to disseminate that, because usually the problem with the science is that the results, the outcomes are great, but they stuck in the labs, in a wet lab or dry lab, and there is no meaning to produce such interesting and useful knowledge if you don't have the way to give it to the community. Because if you have, for example, the biosensor that we saw before, but it's used only among the universities, there is no meaning for the farmer or for the student who is interested to learn more about that really small single-celled organism. So we should make science accessible, we should make it diverse, and we should make it approachable for everyone. And this is the way that I believe citizen science is involved in. That's, I think, the answer, briefly.
Thank you, Chara. I grasp the spirit and of the meaning of what you wanted to, the message you wanted to convey. And you gave me a very good way now to also question about the communities and diversity, because it's also important for every participant to also focus and understand that citizen science is not always inclusive or accessible. It's people behind citizen science that make it inclusive and accessible. So we all researchers or people and citizens involved in a citizen science project need to feel safe and to have a safe space where they can actually participate. So how do we make citizen science really inclusive or accessible? There is a variety of projects, and of course there are as well many answers that could be given to that question. But from your side, Hara, what would make a citizen science project inclusive and accessible in this field?
Well, firstly, we have to think the language barrier. When I was younger, I could not think about that because we are in Europe, we usually speak English, but that's not the rule. So we should make it accessible to multilingual environment. This is first. Secondly, we have to think that the language itself should be clear and simple. Even if we talk in science terms and definitions, we should break it down in order everyone to understand it. We should not make an elite group from scientists who understand science. This is the normal and this is the typical. So we have to be able to explain in person who is shopping at the supermarket what is supply chain and why food waste is a problem. We should explain to a farmer somewhere in Spain why climate change is a challenge for his crops, and so on. Apart from that, we should make citizen science projects accessible no matter where you are, which means offline, online, something tangible that you can understand. For example, the world monitoring, the water monitoring that you mentioned before is a tangible example, but also we should make it flexible. And lastly, I think that we should, again, collaborate with local organization, maybe NGOs and companies that they know their people. The magic things about local organization is that they know how to approach the citizens. They know from firsthand the problems of the citizens, and they know their character, which is really important. So they also have a wide pool of volunteers that can host and organize an event. And I believe that with all these in mind and many other factors that I'm definitely don't remember, and it's numbers. If we write them down, it will be pages. But the most important, I think, is the one that I mentioned. And that's how we make citizen science projects inclusive and accessible to diverse communities, not only in our countries or in our cities, but also in the whole continent, which is really big. Europe is a continent with many countries, people from different with different backgrounds, from different education. So we should all take them into account and create projects that are for everyone, from everyone, and everyone cares about them.
Thank you, Chara, and thank you also for bringing these dimensions like language barriers or communicating scientific results, which is really should be also in the essence of doing citizen science. And it's always important in the agri-food sector also, as we engage mostly with rural communities. To also keep in mind that there is more need for training of those people. There is also a digital divide among generations. So there's a series of parameters and factors, as you mentioned, that we should always take into account. These factors and this reality should not stop us, of course, from designing and implementing a citizen science project. We should always check for opportunities, as you said, by collaborating with NGOs, with businesses and other public authorities. So there are ways out of these barriers, but let's always keep in mind that citizen science should be inclusive and accessible, and to do so, there are some steps and some efforts we all should engage in order to make it truly inclusive and accessible. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and see you at the next Agrima lecture.